So, welcome back to our show, Carl Ja. How are you? What's been up?
Good, good. Things are looking great. It's always good to be back on your show.
Thank you. So, the media is lit up with China news, and that is that China is making the world's biggest dam, the largest dam. Tell us
Yeah.
about that. How does that look? What does it mean when we say that it's the biggest dam? What's the steep? What's the height of the dam?
Well, currently the largest dam in China is the Three Gorges Dam, which is a huge project that took decades to complete. And but the Three Gorges Dam is building on the three gorges of the Yangtze River. Now China is going to build a giant dam on the Yarlung Tsanpo, which is upper stream of Brahmaputra. Yarlung Tsanpo is how it's called in Tibetan language, and there's a huge drop in elevation when the water of Yarlung Zangbo, aka Brahmaputra, that goes down the slope of Himalayas. There's the construction site is going to be at the bend of the river. So, if you look at the map, the river originates in Tibet and it goes through, and there will be like almost a 90-degree bend where it uh, originally flows from west to east, and then it does like a almost 90-degree turn to go from north to south to flow south toward Indian Ocean. And this is due to there's a break in the Himalayan range, and the resulting gorge is quite steep, and the elevation drop plan for this dam it goes from 3,000 it goes from like 3,000 meters from sea level to 800 meters sea level. So there's a drop of like 2,200 meters. I mean, there's a huge potential energy right there. And when China do finish this dam is going to produce three times the power that's currently generated by the Three Gorges Dam, the largest dam in China, and it will generate enough hydraulic power to power 300 million people to provide power for 300 million people. Now, this project has been planned for decades. When I lived in China in 1980s, they were already talking about this, but there were real life difficulties on implementing the plan. One, this is in a very remote area. It's quite close to the border, the line of actual control that's held between China and India, and it's very far from any urban centers. The entirety of Tibetan plateau is pretty sparsely
Yeah.
populated. So even though there's tremendous um, energy, hydraulic power that could be harnessed, but back in the 1980s, there's no way to get that energy to where it's needed, which is industries on the east coast of China, right? So, it's been known for a long time because if you look at the topographic map of China, you have the Tibetan Plateau, which is rise very high, which is a source of majority of the rivers in the region, and but all the ideal site for building hydraulic dam is all like in the very remote mountainous regions in the southwestern part of China, whereas the most developed uh, Chinese industries are on the east coast. So for a long time, the problem is how do you capture the energy, and then once you capture the energy, how do you transport it? Because there's a pro when you over long distance, you're gonna lose a lot of power. right? So there's a lot of loss of power in transmission. So what China has done in the last 40 years is it developed this thing called ultra high voltage transmission that made it possible to transmit power from very, very long distances with minimal loss of power. So this allowed China to start, that made it economically feasible to build these hydraulic power stations deeper and deeper into the Himalayan foothills. We saw that with Beihetan power station in Yunnan, which is also on the it's in the Himalayan foothills, but it's already pretty far up the elevation. But now this time, the dam they're going to build on Yarlung Tsanpo, that's just very, very remote. But now China has the power to build the infrastructure, to build the power transmission line that will carry the power all the way from Tibet to transmit to places like Shanghai or Wuhan with little loss in transmission. So this is why it took 40 years to plan out, but finally China has both the capital and the means to carry out this very ambitious plan. And the way, I mean, it's the engineering of the project is pretty crazy, because what I saw the plan that if you look at the map, there's the 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 river goes into like a bend like this. It does like it kind of like it's literally a bend. So what they plan to do is gonna cut 5 tunnels through the Himalayan mountains, and then through they were gonna channel the waters through those tunnels, and the whole entire drop, like I say, it's gonna
Wow.
go from 3,000 meters in
Wow.
elevation to 800 meters in elevation. So that's the potential energy generated. It's gonna generate tremendous amount of power. For a long time, this plan has been like on the planning stage, on the paper stage, but now it's finally been confirmed. It's on schedule, and the Chinese government have allotted the funds for this. Now it's part of the 5 year plans. So they're really gonna do this, and it's gonna be one of those most impressive mega project in China.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. China has a lot of engineering landmarks, a lot. This would add into it. It's actually a U-turn given a shortcut. There's a shortcut between the U-turn, and that is pretty crazy.
Yes, and I mean it's all in very, very remote place, but now it's made feasible because China has built a lot of parallel infrastructure. China has been building railroads connecting Tibet to other parts of China. They're building highways into the region. So all the construction equipments, large machinery now can be brought in, and so this it's pretty exciting. If you're like a civil engineer, in China, this is like your era. This is your time to shine. You have all kind of crazy, insane projects to work on.
Amazing, amazing. So, Carl, what does this look like to the countries downstream? First, it goes to India, then it enters Bangladesh, and then it enters the Indian Sea, Indian Ocean.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of concerns in Indian media, because they're worried that the water might be cut off or reduced. There will be reduced water flow to India. So first of all, I actually don't. I think India will be materially impacted, because first of all, China has never denied water. This is just not a thing. And even when they build the purpose to build the dam is to harness the potential energy from the drops through the Himalayan elevation. And another thing about people need to know about the geography of the region is that even though the water, the stream originated in Tibet, but Brahmaputra actually gained over somewhere from 80 to 90% of its water inside the Indian control territory. So that's when the monsoons from the Indian Ocean pushes against the Himalayans mountain. They get trapped, and then it gets to turn into precipitation, get to turn into a lot of rain. So there's a lot of rain on the southern slope of the Himalayas, and that provided the majority of the water source for the Brahmaputra and its tributary. That's like about somewhere between 80 to 90% of the water from Brahmaputra came from the rainfall at the foothill of the Himalayas. So that's after it has passed through did the turn in the in Chinese border, and now it's in the Indian control territory. So, well, it's actually that piece of territory is actually disputed between China and India. India called that piece of territory. They renamed it Arunachal Pradesh after I think 1970s. Before, on Indian map, it's called the Northeastern Frontier Agency, and they didn't even have a formal name. But China always maintained that piece is a traditional part of the southern Tibet, and is therefore a Chinese territory. So, but in any case, building the dam will not um, will not it will only minimally impact the countries downstream. There's no the you the goal of the dam is to for electricity generation, right? So to generate electricity, you still need to let the water flow, right? I mean, so that the goal is not to store up the water behind a giant wall of dam. That was not part of the plan, and also the most of the water Brahmaputra derived from is coming from the southern slope of the Himalayas from the rainfall. So I think a lot of the Indian media are just they're just trying to generate sensational news to grab eyeballs and claim this is some kind of issue, but it's really like non sequitur.
Yet stopping water was never on the paper for China or anyone. So China is actually a master in building dams. It has a lot of dam infrastructure in China. Tell us about the Three Gorges dams. How is it a marvel piece of engineering?
Well, Three Gorges Dam was planned even longer in advance. Like this was the first leader of the leader of the Republic of China that overthrew the imperial dynasty, Sun Yat-sen. He had plans for building a dam at Three Gorges right at the beginning of the 20th century. So we're talking about like 1910s, more than 100 years ago. And but that again, that it wasn't accomplished because China has since then has suffered through warlords era, Japanese invasion, civil war, and finally the the Chinese government in the 1980s decided they're going to build a dam, but it still took like 10 years of preparation work um, to finally start construction. The construction didn't start until like 1990s, and it took them a good 10 years to get that dam built because they had to relocate like they had to remove they had to relocate 3 million people from the area that's going to be impacted in the Three Gorges Dam. And they actually, in order to do that, they had to resettle those people elsewhere. And this is one of the reasons the city of Chongqing, my hometown, got turned into this special municipality that's been directly administered by the central government, is so that my hometown that will be most of these 3 millions of migrants will be resettled, and so it's a huge gargantuan project, and it was it was done in a place where China had to actually import a lot of the machine tools to do so. At that time, most of the machine tools that work on Three Gorges project are like imported machinery, like Caterpillar, from United States. They got very big fat contract providing the machine tools. But now China has its own construction tool companies as a result of decade-long infrastructure building in China. So now China is not relying on foreign imports to provide the machineries to do mega projects like that. And China already has the experience of building many mega dams under their belt. It's Three Gorges Dam is just one of them.
Why do they
And
call
and
it the
the
Three
I
Gorges Dams? Because
Well,
yeah.
it's because it passed through this area in the Yangtze River that's known as Three Gorges. So in the ancient time, the um for this is the area where Yangtze River leaves the Sichuan Basin. You pass through this mountain range, you cut through this mountain range, uh, and flows east. And this is area known as Three Gorges. So in the very ancient times, there was actually Yangtze River did not flow from from Tibet to the sea. All the water actually gets accumulated in the
Here.
Sichuan Basin, um, and and then I don't remember exact time, like tens of thousands of years ago, there was a giant earthquake that cracked the mountains. It created a crack in the mountains that allowed the river in the giant inland sea in the Sichuan Basin to break through, and all the water start to wash through the mountain range and created a very deep gorge. And it's a series of gorge over like hundreds of kilometers. It's just known as Three Gorge. The area is known as Three Gorges. So
Oh.
so the Three Gorges Dam is building at like the end, near the end of the where the Three Gorges would end. So there was a lot of again, the water is coming through this very narrow mountain gorge, and that's why they built a dam there to try to capture all these potential energy to convert it into electricity.
So
And another idea.
before this dam, that dam was the biggest in China.
Correct.
Okay.
And because Three Gorges Dam actually serve more purpose than just electricity generation. It's also for flood control
Yeah.
and navigation, because for the longest time, the big size boat cannot pass through Three Gorges because there's many rapids, many rocks, outcropping. So what they did was, once they built they after the People's Republic was founded in 1949, they blow up a lot of the rocks in the river to allow better navigation. But now, with the building of the Three Gorges Dam, the river has widened enough. Now you can sail a boat with like over tens of thousands of tonnage boat all the way through the Three Gorges area to my hometown Chongqing. And this is important because Chongqing served as a gateway to entire southwestern China. So now you can like all the goods can be produced that was produced in southwestern China can be loaded on boats, sail down the Yangtze River to Shanghai, and get loaded onto ocean-going
Oh
boats and
wow.
go to the rest of the world. And and
Wow.
and, and the area of Sichuan, because it has over 100 million people, it's quite productive. Chongqing, my hometown, that's actually where it produces over two-thirds of the world's laptop. Your laptop might, if it's made in China, it's
Right.
probably made in my hometown Chongqing.
Mm.
And so this kind of infrastructure building help facilitate the flow of goods.
What province are we talking about
And
specifically?
so this will be the province of Sichuan and the city of Chongqing. That's Chongqing used to be part of Sichuan province, but it was carved out because of the Three Gorges project. So most of the Three Gorges area now got assigned to attach to the Chongqing municipality. And it's a beautiful area, and I recommend
Mm,
anybody who go to China to take a boat tour
mm,
down to
mm.
down the Yangtze River through the Three Gorges. It's a popular tourist destination.
Carl,
But
yeah, yeah.
go ahead.
After
Go ahead. Go ahead.
after this dam, what addition of megawatts would China have under their belt?
Well, right now there's actually multiple huge giant infrastructure project going on simultaneously. So one thing we're talking about the dam, right? But China is also expanding railroad links to Tibet. So currently there's only one railroad that connects Tibet to the rest of China. It goes through north south. It travels through Qinghai to Tibet. But now the China is going to try to build multiple trunk lines. One project is to build a railroad from Sichuan province, where we just talk about Yangtze River, Three Gorges, and built from Sichuan province to Tibet. And there's another railroad they're building from the Yunnan province from the south to Tibet, and they're all going to cut through very steep Himalayan foothills. They're gonna have to build through a lot of tunnels, very like sometimes 5-6 kilometer long tunnels to build this railroad that will have a train that travel around 160 kilometer per hour. So those projects will take a long time. But again, these infrastructure projects all build upon each other. These railroads and new roads that's been built, these will enable large machineries to be brought in to build the dam. So they all work together. It's all like part of an integrated development plan.